But I think, you know, him knowing the caliber of fighter that I am is going to push him to raise him
to the occasion.
Yeah. So I'm looking to fight the best Canelo Alvarez there is.
No, bro, I know Crawford, and he's different. And see, the only thing different here is Canelo is not a bigger guy at that weight. He's not like he's standing 6'1", 6'2" like Bivol.
There's a different style, you know. I mean, they're both good fighters, so it's hard to compare.
Crawford, but you know, it's a crazy fight. You know, it's too much. It's too much pound for Crawford. I mean, I know he can do it for the money, but
Terence Crawford went off live, slamming Canelo Alvarez and claiming he was exposed by Bivol, setting the stage for a fiery showdown fans never saw coming. In a recent interview, Crawford didn't just stop at calling out Canelo. He openly questioned whether the Mexican superstar is still the same fighter he once was. Crawford noted that Canelo's recent fights haven't looked the same, particularly pointing to his bout with Dmitry Bivol as evidence of decline.
I wouldn't say that. I just feel like, you know, it just takes certain fighters to motivate other fighters, you know, like you waking up the sleeping giant. You know, the fights that he's been fighting, he's just like, oh, man,
yeah,
these guys, you know. Well, but I think, you know, him knowing the caliber of fighter that I am is gonna push him to raise him
to the occasion.
Yeah. So I'm looking to fight the best Canelo Alvarez there is.
According to Crawford, Bivol's win over Canelo wasn't just a decision. It was a beatdown that exposed cracks in the armor of a man once considered unbeatable. The implication was clear. If Bivol could dominate Canelo, then Crawford, even moving up in weight, believes he could do even more damage.
I don't like I'm about to conquer the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think you'd have got on at super middleweight with a Cobra. You're in my division now, man. You're in my division now.
Man, listen, I'd have beat you too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How would you have done it though?
It'd have been tough, man, because you tall, long, rangy. That'd have been tough.
Tough fight.
Yeah, that'd have been tough.
I'll take that. I respect that.
That'd have been real tough.
Nice one, man.
However, not everyone agrees with Crawford's take. Rising British middleweight Hamza Shiraz weighed in with a firm prediction that Canelo would not only beat Crawford, but stop him. Shiraz emphasized the massive difference in weight classes and the challenge Crawford would face stepping into a division that's far from his natural one. In Shiraz's eyes, Crawford's skill can only carry him so far when size and power become a factor. He believes that while Crawford's talent is undeniable, he'll be overpowered if the fight happens at super middleweight.
My kind of perspective on that fight is, I feel like number one, there's a weight class for reasons, and I feel like if we're basing it off their last performances, Canelo had the better performance, I believe, even though he had a negative fight in front of him, and I feel like Crawford struggled a little bit with Madrimov's physicality. Yeah, it was very physical, and I feel like he struggled a little bit with it. And then you got to remember, Canelo's a big dude. He's a big dude. He's strong. He knows how to use his size. But then at the same time, at that level, you can't write off fighters like Crawford because he's so skillful. So him going up 2 weights, he could defy the odds because he's a generational great. But if I had to kind of put my money on it, I'd put my money on Canelo Alvarez to win via a stoppage.
From another perspective, David Morrell's comments painted Terence Crawford as a dangerous and calculated fighter, but one who may be biting off more than he can chew by targeting Canelo Alvarez. While acknowledging Crawford's elite skill set and sharp boxing mind, Morrell made it clear that Canelo isn't an easy opponent for anyone, no matter how talented. His analysis suggested that the potential matchup seems more driven by financial motives than boxing logic. Despite respecting Crawford's abilities, Morrell expressed doubt about his chances at super middleweight, stressing that Canelo's raw power and physical presence could be too much for Crawford to overcome in the ring.
You know, it's a crazy fight. You know, it's too much. It's too much power for Crawford. I mean, I know he can do it for the money, but it's too much. It's too much power for Crawford, and Canelo is not easy. You know, Canelo is stronger. It's difficult. It's difficult for Crawford to win the fight or to stay there and win the third round. So You know, I'll say 60-40 for Canelo.
With so many voices chiming in, it's clear that a potential fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez is more than just a fantasy matchup. It's a genuine possibility with massive interest behind it. The contrast between the fighters' styles, their weight difference, and their public personas makes this one of the most talked about possible fights in boxing.
Of when that fight's going to take place, but you know, it's obvious, I think, that both men want to make sure they don't cede the high ground in terms of the psychological battle. I mean, even Canelo, Crawford, you know, has kind of gotten under his skin enough so that we see that side of Canelo, which comes out every once in a while, where he's more rambunctious and maybe hostile. But it was, you know, I think the thing about this event is, as the promotional stuff goes on, you know, I think we're going to see more and more of that kind of psychological sparring.
Former light heavyweight champion Antonio Tarver also shared his prediction, expressing that Canelo might be in trouble if Crawford can take his power. Tarver didn't underestimate Canelo's punching strength at 168 pounds, but suggested that Crawford has the skill set and mental strength to endure it.
No, bro, I know Crawford, and he's different. And see, the only thing different here is Canelo is not a bigger guy at that weight. He's not like he's standing 6'1", 6'2", like Bivol or one of those guys. So on fight night, the size is not going to be the main thing, the most important thing. It's going to be skill set. And both of them coming with their skill set. But what I haven't seen lately is the opponents that Canelo is facing. Those guys aren't going to get him ready for a guy like Crawford. So Canelo is going to have to go back to that grind and turn back the hands of times too.
According to Tarver, if Crawford can survive the early onslaught and stay composed under pressure, his technical ability and ring IQ could tilt the fight in his favor. Tarver made it clear that this wouldn't be an easy fight for either man, but Crawford has a real shot if he can withstand the physical test.
Because we show up like he did against Skull. He show up like he did against Benavidez, not Benavidez, but Berlanga, and the other guy. What's the other guy name? Munguia. Bro, those guys, he didn't have enough activity. The last time I saw Canelo that would beat, I think, this Crawford was Plant. Now that Canelo come cutting the ring, all throwing combination to the head and to the body, active, it's gonna be a fight. It's gonna be a hell of a fight. You know what I mean? And I still think I give Crawford a chance even then. So that's what type of talent I think Crawford is. He's definitely going to have to get used to that power.
Even iconic announcer Michael Buffer chimed in on the potential matchup. While Buffer didn't lean strongly toward one fighter, he did suggest that a fight between Crawford and Canelo would be extremely close. His comment reflected a growing sentiment in the boxing world that Crawford might be able to compete at the higher weight despite the challenges. The fact that even longtime insiders can't confidently pick a winner shows how evenly matched this fantasy fight might be, even if they're coming from different weight classes.
Michael, it's not a big fight unless you're announcing it. Canelo versus Crawford. How do you see that one going?
I think it's going to be a close and interesting fight.
Right.
I think it's going to be a technical fight, not a power fight.
Now, what do you think about Dana White promoting it? Do you think
he's only proven himself to be one of the greatest promoters in the history of sport? So he's good, pretty good deal.
He's good for boxing?
Oh yeah, he don't know what to do.
Because some people like De La Hoya have been a little critical of him, but he has the Michael Buffer approval, obviously. For sure. You're the man. Thank you.
Meanwhile, Manny Pacquiao offered a candid response when asked about Canelo's comments that Crawford is better than Floyd Mayweather. The legendary Filipino icon didn't go deep into comparisons, but seemed surprised that Canelo would place Crawford above Mayweather, especially given their personal history. That remark by Canelo raised eyebrows across the sport, as many still view Mayweather's win over Canelo as one of the more one-sided masterclasses in recent memory.
Crawford what?
Better than Floyd Mayweather. Canelo said that.
Crawford can beat.
No, Crawford said Canelo. Canelo said Crawford's better than Mayweather. What do you think? What's your assessment on that?
There's a different style, you know. I mean, they're all they're both good fighters, so it's hard to compare yourself to others.
Pacquiao's reaction added to the intrigue, indirectly suggesting that Canelo might be attempting to discredit his former rival while boosting Crawford's profile, potentially as part of the build-up to a future fight.
Do you think Crawford can do any of what Mayweather did against Canelo? Do you think he can do any of that?
What, Canelo?
Can Crawford do any of what Mayweather did against Canelo?
That's a good fight, man. You know,
we'll see. Thank you.
David Benavidez, another top contender in the super middleweight division, also threw his opinion into the mix. He wouldn't be surprised if Crawford pulled off the upset. Benavidez acknowledged that while Canelo has the size and experience at 168, Crawford's skill and adaptability are rare. Coming from a fighter who has shared the ring with top-level opposition and knows the division well, that's a serious endorsement. Benavidez's view hints at a shift in perception, where Crawford is being taken seriously as a threat, even in a weight class he's never fought in.
Does he have an opportunity to beat Canelo?
I think if anybody has a opportunity, has a chance to beat Canelo, I think it's Terence Crawford. His IQ is on another level. He's a great fighter and he's strong. It's just that it's a lot of weight, you know what I mean? And he didn't have a hard time at 154, but he wasn't like, you know what I mean? The other guy was getting him with some good punches, you know what I mean? So he felt the power at 154. So imagine you go up to 160, 160. Madrimov is a good fighter. And then, you know, you find a strong fighter like Canelo. So, I mean, I feel like it's like I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Terence Crawford wins, but I wouldn't be surprised if he loses.
Sugar Ray Leonard also joined the conversation, not to talk about who would win between Crawford and Canelo, but to question the comparisons being made between them and legends like Mayweather. Leonard seemed skeptical of the notion that Canelo or even Crawford should be compared to Mayweather's skill level and career achievements.
Hey, they gotta prove that.
Roy said.
I gotta go, guys.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
His comment put the conversation in a broader context, reminding fans that while this potential fight is huge, it's important to recognize the difference between modern hype and proven legacy. Still, the fact that Leonard is even discussing Crawford in that same conversation shows how highly regarded the Omaha native has become.
You know what? It's up to the individual. It's always up to the individual.
Crawford tried to push up on Canelo there. It looked like Canelo wasn't pushed back too much, and he actually pushed Crawford, sent him back a little bit. Did you get a chance to see that face-off and their physical interactions or whatnot?
Not really. All right, guys. Thank you, man.
Thank you,
Last one for you, Ray. Size or speed? What usually wins in fights? Because that's what they're saying the tale of Canelo Crawford is.
Speed. I like speed.
Speed, yeah.
Sergio Mora added his prediction as well, describing Crawford as a mean dude and suggesting that edge might be enough to push him over the top against Canelo. Mora's take focused on Crawford's attitude and intensity, qualities that often make the difference in close fights. According to him, that cold, competitive nature Crawford possesses could be a bigger weapon than any jab or cross he throws. Mora's perspective adds another dimension to the analysis, one that focuses not just on skill, but on mentality.
Hey, listen, man. For a long time I kept saying, a great big man will beat a great small man. That's just how it is in boxing. But after Canelo's last performance, like many people, man, he struggled against a guy in cutting off the ring, a longer guy that wasn't trying to make it a fight. And Canelo has lost a step. Let's keep it real. I mean, he's a man with over 65 fights. He's been fighting professionally since he was 15 years old. Yes. There's wear and tear. There's injury. He can turn old overnight. Yes. And believe it or not, he's younger than Crawford.
Despite being younger than Crawford in actual age, Moore emphasized that Canelo has significantly more mileage. On the other hand, he viewed Crawford as the fresher of the two, even though he's 37. Moore pointed out that Crawford appears to be adding size the right way and physically looks impressive, possibly even appearing larger than Canelo in terms of frame and build. He praised Crawford's discipline and mental toughness, which he believes will be key factors in the bout.
But Crawford doesn't have those miles. Crawford's 37 years old. He can turn old overnight. But I still like Crawford, man. He's just a mean dude. He's been bulking up nicely, doing it the right way. He looks bigger. He looks bigger than Canelo right now as far as like height, the shoulders. I think it's going to be a decision type fight.
However, Moore ultimately predicted that while Crawford may put up a strong and potentially punishing performance, it would still be Canelo who edges out the win on the scorecard. He envisioned a competitive fight that goes the distance, with Canelo absorbing damage but doing enough to secure a decision victory.
I think Crawford's in this fight, and I don't think Canelo leaves unscathed. I think he'll leave a little bruised and beat up, but he'll still win the decision.
Even Shakur Stevenson, a fellow slick boxer and rising star, gave his input. He didn't mince words. Stevenson believes Crawford will win. While Stevenson didn't offer a breakdown of the styles or game plans, his confidence in Crawford speaks volume, especially coming from a fighter who understands technical boxing at the highest level.
I ain't gonna lie, I've been putting it out since, I want to say, when he fought Sean Porter. Like back then, if you go watch, it's an interview out there. I had said I think that Terence Crawford would beat Canelo Alvarez right after he fought Sean Porter. So the idea, I've been thinking about it. I've been saying it before Bud even was saying it.
Stevenson's pick reflects the growing support Crawford is getting from within the boxing community, even as the size difference continues to be a focal point of doubt.
Because I just knew, like, as far as in that weight class, Terence Crawford is like the greatest. So I just feel as though with Canelo's style and like the style of boxing that he got, I think and this is before Bivol did it, but I thought like Terence Crawford was the only guy who I felt as though could have beat Canelo with his style.
Crawford's bold call-out, anchored by his statement about Bivol dominating Canelo, has pushed the idea into the mainstream conversation. Whether you see Crawford as overconfident or just speaking the truth, he's lit a fire under a division that could use some new storylines.
The same thing happened with Spence.
Same thing gonna happen with Spence. They're gonna figure out some type of excuse why Terence Crawford was successful in the Canelo Alvarez fight.
One thing is certain, if this fight happens, it won't be just about titles or records. It'll be about legacy, pride, and proving who really belongs at the top of the sport. With fans, experts, and legends divided on the outcome, it's the kind of matchup that could shift the boxing landscape for years to come. And for now, the only thing louder than Crawford's words might be the growing anticipation surrounding this potential clash.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely confident that he's going to get the victory. Second of all, I'm just happy for him and the team. So, you know, the world can see once again why he considered the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. No, I don't think there's no pressure on Terence, because Terence will fight the way that he's used to fighting. So, by saying all that stuff that Turkey say or anybody else say, that doesn't bother Terence not one bit. You know, we train for one way, the way we're going to fight, and that's the way we're going to get the job done.
Carl Froch added a new layer of intensity to the conversation, openly suggesting that the matchup between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez poses real danger for the Mexican star. From Froch's viewpoint, a Crawford win wouldn't shock him at all, even with Canelo entering the ring as the likely favorite. He viewed Crawford as a fighter with exceptional mental toughness and unwavering confidence, highlighting his ability to stay composed and execute under pressure. Froch emphasized that Crawford's fight intelligence is among the best in the sport, which gives him a legitimate shot at victory.
Really don't, although the Brits do want to see it because of the history of Ben Eubanks. So out of all the top fights that potentially could happen that I would want to see, and I think that boxing fans would want to see, especially boxing purists, it's going to be Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. It's got to be all day long. I mean, Terence Crawford is just an unbelievable talent, and we've never seen him beat. So when there's somebody who's unbeaten, you always want to see how they're going to cope with somebody who's potentially got a massive favourite. We saw what happened to Amir Khan when he stepped up from welterweight. He got absolutely ironed out. But that's sometimes what happens if somebody's smaller coming up to a bigger weight division. They get clipped on the chin. They're not used to taking that punch power. And up at light middleweight, when Terence Crawford stepped up to fight Israel Madrimov.
In his recent remarks, Jim Lampley revisited Canelo Alvarez's earlier career loss to Floyd Mayweather, suggesting that the experience may have served as a critical learning moment for the Mexican champion. From Lampley's perspective, that defeat likely played a role in shaping Canelo into the more refined and mature fighter he is today. He pointed to Canelo's remarkable consistency and technical ability over the years, highlighting how he's maintained dominance without ever suffering a stoppage loss.
Canelo's smart. Absolutely, he's smart. He knows this business as well as anybody. So no, it's not surprising that Canelo learned from Floyd and has employed some of that in the retention of his career. Canelo still knows how to make fireworks. when he absolutely has to make fireworks. But at the end of the day, he's a counterpuncher. He's a great defender. He has the most solid punch resistance of anybody in the sport. Nobody's ever knocked him off balance. Nobody's ever really knocked him down. There's only one official knockdown in his career, and it was because he bounced off the ropes when Jose Cotto hit him with a hard shot to the chest.
And so there you have it. The stage is set, the opinions are flying, and the hype is real. From legends to rising stars, everyone has something to say about Crawford versus Canelo. Is this the clash of a lifetime or a step too far for Bud? Will power beat precision, or will skill rewrite the rules once again? Drop your predictions in the comments, hit that like button if you're ready for war in the ring, and don't forget to subscribe, because this fight talk is just getting started.